Welcome to the Spark Report. John W. Davis and Pavi. What's going on, Pav? How you feeling?
What's up, man? How you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I've been enjoying watching the LA Sparks over the past 3 weeks or so.
Yeah, if you're a
Eight out of the
Sparks fan,
last nine, 7 straight wins. It's fun to watch a winning team.
I agree. Yeah, if you're a Sparks fan, you're pretty happy right now.
You
You
have to
don't
be.
you don't really walk away from the TV angry too many days
No,
recently.
no. You have to be happy about it. Again, you're watching the Spark Report. John W. Davis and Pavi here. And you have to be happy about what the Sparks have done because the Sparks have beat the teams they're supposed to beat.
I
That's what
agree.
I talked to Derek Fisher about before the dream game. I talked about, have you talked to the team about beating the teams you're supposed to beat? And his response was, we have to win the games that we have a chance to win. So that's kind of how he flipped it back on me. And it was just a situation of, if the Sparks are within striking distance, they are going to do whatever they can to get a win because these standings are too tight right now. And everybody knows you want to be a top two seed. Everybody knows you want to be on the opposite side of the bracket of the Seattle Storm.
The opposite side of the bracket of Seattle. I mean, with the way Seattle been looking recently, you might not care if you're on the opposite side of the bracket with
That's
Seattle.
just 2 games. And let me tell you this. So some context on that. So apparently the Seattle Storms had almost played back-to-back games in like about 10 games. So it was like game, day off, game, day off, game, day off. Keep that going for like 3 weeks or so. So I mean, eventually it's gonna catch up with you.
Yeah, I mean, even when I watched the game, they just looked like tired. But
Right.
more like mentally tired than even physically tired. It was just like they just weren't all there, especially in the Vegas game. I just know that they were all there.
Yeah. But if somebody was to tell you the Seattle Storm were on a 2-game winning streak and they were still in first place, you're like, yeah, okay. I mean, if you're a Storm fan, you got to accept that and you got to hope that they will have motivation the next time they play the Fever to take care of business, especially since the Fever was talking crap, talking about, oh, they didn't play Sue Bird against us. We want all that smoke.
It said that Sue Bird was ducking the fever smoke. I'm like, all right, man. All right.
Maybe when Tamika Catchings was there, she might have been ducking them screens.
Like,
But
all right, man.
nah, that is Tamika Catchings playing?
She's not
out?
playing.
Is she out there setting them screens?
She's not playing.
Is she out there setting them Nneka screens?
No.
Did you see that one?
Which one?
Oh, no, Katie Lou. Nneka set a screen on Katie Lou. She sent Katie Lou back to UConn.
She sent Katie Lou back to UConn. I mean,
she sent Katie Lou back to UConn.
Somebody should have called it out. Your teammates supposed to call out those screens for you.
And it was nothing extra. It wasn't like a hip out or a chest out or anything like. It was just
teammates supposed to call out those screens.
Teammates
supposed to call them out. Your teammate don't call them out. That's what you get mad at. Your teammates. Let me know.
Right. All right. So let me give you the rundown of what we want to talk about on the Spark Report today. So obviously, 8/24 is Kobe Bryant Day. He wore 8 early in the career, wore 24 at the end. Happy birthday to him from yesterday on 8/23. But Kobe Bryant had a huge impact on the WNBA. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about Candace Parker, who just won Player of the Week in the Western Conference. It was her first one this season. She is a candidate for DPOY and MVP. And I got some little acronyms that I like to use with those. We want to talk about Sydney Weiss possibly joining an Elena Deladon club. We want to talk about the winning streak, the power rankings, and all of that. And at the end, stick around. You can get our predictions on how they're going to do over the next 3 games. I do want to say on the record, y'all can go back to the last 3 episodes. I got all the last 9 games right.
I mean, you picked them to win every game, but like fair.
No, I picked them to lose against the Aces.
Okay, you're right. I think you did pick them to lose against the
Aces. So I got all the last 9 games right.
You're right. You picked them to lose against the Aces.
But I will say this on the record, I don't answer daily fantasy questions. That's not my job. If you want to read my tweets and glean what you want to glean from it, yeah. But if you're a daily fantasy player, don't tweet me asking me, oh, is so-and-so going to play? I'm not giving out free tips. Do people tweet you about stuff like that?
Not really. Nah,
You
yeah,
know,
nah, not really. People don't really treat me about like fantasy things like that. Nah.
it's like a little pet peeve of mine. Like I click on somebody's profile and they're like daily fantasy player, blah blah blah, and it's like I feel like they try to get like inside information from me when all my tweets are public. Just read what I tweet.
Yeah, nobody ever really, nah, in NBA or W, nobody really asked me for like fantasy information for the most
Okay.
part.
Just read what I tweet. If you into that, just read what I tweet. But all right, so Kobe Bryant, WNBA. Kobe had a lot of mentees in the WNBA. If you go down the Sparks roster, obviously Candace Parker, Chelsea Gray are two of the most prominent on there. Nneka Ogwumike as well. So there's like those three, the big three, all had an impact on him. You go across the league, you're talking about players, obviously Sabrina Ionescu, who has been spending time with the Bryant family recently. Then you have players like Jewel Lloyd and just a lot of players, Nneka Ogwumike, a lot of players were impacted by Kobe Bryant. And so when you talk about Kobe in the WNBA, I mean, even the Sparks coach, Derek Fisher, won all 5 of the rings. As many rings as Kobe has, Derek Fisher has. It was there every step of the way with all of those championships.
Actually started before Kobe. People don't realize that.
Derek Fisher?
Yeah, he actually started first.
Oh, you mean the season where they both were rookies?
Yeah, like he actually was the first one to break the starting lineup was Derek Fisher.
Okay.
Derek
well,
Fisher
he was older. I mean,
lineup.
he was a grown man.
I think it might have been like the second year though. I think he's with it like the second year, whatever. But like regardless, Derek Fisher was actually the first one to like break the starting lineup and start making an impact. Because remember, Kobe was the 6th man.
Mm-hmm. And it was tough to listen to. For me personally, it was tough to listen to Derek Fisher kind of talk about Kobe Bryant because, especially pregame, and I didn't want to ask him a question about Kobe Bryant pregame because I can only imagine the headspace you're in, you know, when you're going to see all of the tributes that they were doing to Kobe, the 24 seconds of silence, that 8 jersey on one side, the 24 on the other side. And like, this is a person who I'm sure you would normally text on their birthday.
Yeah.
Especially you would remember that their birthday is 8/23 when the jersey numbers is 8/24. It's all, you know, just so much synergy between that. And so, you know, and the person who Kobe Bryant said all time was probably his favorite teammate.
Yeah.
So, you know, when he said, you know, I'm managing my emotions and it's okay to laugh and cry about it, I believe him. I mean, Derek Fisher doesn't have to say something like that.
I mean, that's his homie, man. Like, you know, they played at least 13 years together. At least probably 13 years together, maybe.
Yes.
I mean, anytime you spend 13 years with anybody, you know, you can only imagine the conversation you have, you know, the workouts that you have, the things that you do behind closed doors that, you know, people don't see. I mean, you know, you even saw, you know, Pal, you know, hanging out with Kobe's, you know, family. Mm-hmm. You know, he sent, you know, his wife the same candy that, you know, Kobe would send his wife. And, you know, you never really know the relationship that these people have. And again, like, that's his home. Like, they've won championships together. They probably spent more time around each other in those, you know, 11, 12 years and what they probably even did with their own families.
Exactly.
You know,
that's something that Derek Fisher said. Derek Fisher basically said that's the only thing he missed about playing were the relationships. And who were one of the people he had the greatest relationship with? Kobe Bryant. So, I mean, you said it.
Yeah.
You said it. Another player like Nneka Ogwumike has been on the record several times, you know, telling you and I that Kobe Bryant was their greatest advocate. You know, they have done reports now where the commissioner of the WNBA, Kathy Engelbert, is talking about how Kobe Bryant wanted to talk to her instead of talk to Adam Silver. Like, he wanted to talk about women's basketball more than the NBA. You never saw Kobe Bryant analyzing the NBA. Never.
You did. He would do the detailed show like you did. You did see him analyze the NBA.
Okay.
But
that's a private show. That's on ESPN Plus. Everybody doesn't have access to that.
I mean, yes, but you did see him.
Okay,
but,
you did see it.
But
to me, more publicly, I felt like he talked about women's basketball. But go ahead.
I mean, what I felt with Kobe just loved the game of basketball. Like, no matter how it came, no matter who it came from, I feel like Kobe just genuinely loved the game of basketball. If you genuinely love the game of basketball, you can't just like separate and take women out the equation. Like, nah, they play great basketball. And like I said, I just think above all else, Kobe was an ambassador for basketball. But with being an ambassador for basketball, you can't leave women out of there. You know what I'm saying? Like they play the game as well. So I feel like anybody that Kobe respected, man or woman, could, you know, go to his Mamba Academy, you know, work out with him, call him up, ask for advice. Because again, Kobe just wants to see the game as a whole grow and continue to grow and just leave a legacy amongst, you know, all players. And you can't leave women out of that. Like if you say you want to see the game grow, but you only respect the NBA and like only respect men's basketball, then you're not really being true to what you're saying, because they aren't the only people who play the game. You know, if you say you want to see the game grow, but you only watch the NBA and you don't, watch kids basketball, like Kobe's working with the next generation of kids. You know, like obviously his daughter won basketball, but it was more people on the team than just his daughters. You know, that he was imparting wisdom upon. And again, I just think that Kobe really, really loved, breathed, slept, ate the game of basketball. I think that's what he loved to do. And that's where his passion was. One of where his passions were, because I feel like he had many passions. I think that's the worst part, that the part that sucks most about him not being here, is that I think a lot of people will remember him as a basketball player, and I feel like what he was going to do in his second half of his life was going to be way bigger than what he was going to do on a basketball court. I mean, he had already won an Emmy after being out the league for 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So you can only imagine what he would have done if he'd have got 40 more years, to depart his wisdom up on the world. But yeah, I just think Kobe just loved and respected basketball as a whole, and women's basketball is a part of that.
And I would add to that I feel like Kobe Bryant was a purist.
Yeah.
And if you are a purist about what you're a purist about, and let's just speak specifically about basketball, you have to appreciate the thought process and the IQ that goes into the W. You have to appreciate it, because it's not, yes, athleticism can take you very far in the WNBA, but it's not all about that. It's not all about who's just going to jump the highest and leave it at that.
Actually, I say all the time, if you really want to learn about the game of basketball, you should probably watch the women's game over the men's game. I think the women's game is a little bit more slowed down. Like you said, you're not seeing people out there with 45-inch verticals. You know what I'm saying? Who, like, the fundamentals don't really matter. If you got a 4.3, it can jump 45 inches in the air. Some things you're gonna be able to do because you're just a special human. You know, in WNBA, obviously you have athletes, and some players are more athletic than others, but like for the most part, the athleticism is a little bit more leveled out. So with that, it comes a lot more scheming, a lot more thought process. People actually run sets. They run real schemes. You know, defense really, really matters. As far as the defensive schemes you run really matters. And when somebody is messing up, even if it's, I think the fundamentals show. Remember last year when the Sparks got out rebounded by like 26, they literally forgot the fundamentals of basketball. Fundamental boxing out. So I think that, if you're a basketball purist, I say all the time, like the WNBA is some of the most pure basketball. Like I think people get highlights and basketball mixed up. So they talk about, dunking and talk about, cool, super cool crossovers. That's not basketball. Those are highlights. Those are what looks good on compilations. If you want to talk about actually, you talking about screen setting, you talking about entry passes, you talk about, setting how to come off a screen, you're talking about defense, you're talking about communication, you talking about things like this. Actually, one of the things that shocked me is in the W, even okay, it could be because of the crowd noise, but honestly, even before they had the fake crowd noise in the NBA, I didn't really hear that many people talking on defense. In the W, it's screaming all the whole game is them talking, saying something. You know what I'm saying? So I think the fundamentals are definitely more prevalent within the WNBA. And again, if you're a basketball purist and you claim you love basketball, you would 1000% appreciate it.
No, you're right. Another basketball purist, Diana Taurasi, she literally she changed her jersey number on Sunday. She wore 8 and it said Bryant on the back. Nothing else. So like, that's the ultimate compliment. And then she goes out and helps her team win the game when they're playing without Brittany Griner.
Which is the bigger compliment from what we know about Kobe Bryant. Like, you even heard Candace. She was like, yo, don't just do it today. Like, do it every day.
Yeah, that was her answer to me. I'm looking at my notes right now, and she was just saying, like, we want to honor him in action and do it every day. Not just today.
You know, just do it on my birthday. Do it every day. If you want to honor me, go out there and work hard, play hard, and try to get better every single day, not just today.
But speaking of Candace Parker, can we talk about year 13 Candace Parker inside the Wubble?
Yes, and wow, before we do, I think the best quote that we got from her throughout this whole like win streak was after the Dream game. Because I watched the Dream game, and even though they won, I was not really happy with the way they won the game.
She wasn't either.
I didn't think that they actually won the game. I just thought that like the Dream just, I don't know what they were doing. Like even when they let Candace just walk to the rim at the end of the game, like what are you, all those turnovers that they had in the fourth, like, yeah, they won the game and scored, but I didn't think they actually won the game.
Oh, did you see my tweet?
What did you say?
So say what you just said. So you said Candace Parker, you didn't like how Candace Parker was able to get to the.
She just like walked to the rim, like, yo, what are you doing?
Right.
Like, you know, the game is about to be over with.
So Glory Johnson was guarding her, right? So somebody said, "Oh, what was Glory Johnson doing when Candace Parker just walked to the lane and got to the rim?" And you know what I know what my
Glory
answer was?
Road, something like that.
Nah, I said she volunteered.
Oh, she volunteered. But nah, yeah, like
you get it. You get it.
Yeah, I get it.
What
yeah,
school she go to? Tennessee.
But nah, like But the thing that I like that she said was like the best quote. She said, in my 13 years in the league, the two times that we won championships, I think you don't have to lose to realize that you need to do something better. And I think that was probably like the bit because me, I always say, you know what, well, a loss can be a teaching moment. But if you can understand when you win that, we still have a lot of things we can get better at. And even though we won, we're not satisfied with that. I think that that's huge. And I think that that bodes well for them for the future. And that's probably the best quote that I've heard her say all season. Because I think that after that game, it was pivotal. Like literally the only bright spot I can say about that game was Candace Parker hoop. I have nothing else positive to say about.
They won. They didn't lose.
But I have nothing else positive to say outside of Candace Parker hoop. That's
even
the only
if you
say,
even if you don't think the Sparks didn't win that game, they didn't lose it.
They didn't.
The win-loss column is going to say a win. They did not get a loss in that game.
Yes.
And so they can move on from it. And then, honestly, they get to play the Dream again pretty soon. And then they can clarify that statement that, like, yes, we are really better than the Dream. But honestly, it doesn't matter. The Dream will not be playing them in the playoffs. This is what I said last year when the Dallas Wings kind of had their number. It doesn't matter. They're not playing them in the playoffs. Now, it matters now because of the WNBA standings. 1st through 5th is a game and a half. And they're trying to get a top 2 seed. That matters. But individual matchups against teams down at the bottom doesn't really matter in the long run. It only matters in the win-loss column.
The matchups don't matter, but I think the film does. I think the other teams can take this film and look at it and think, okay, well, maybe we can replicate some of this. Even though we don't have the exact same players, maybe we can replicate some of what they did. So I think the film matters. The game doesn't matter, but I think the film matters.
The film matters, but the Sparks are not going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over. But if you talk about Candace Parker, so you talked about that quote after the Dream game, and she followed that up after the Wings game, and she said that, in her 13th year, she told me that, our team would not have won a game like this in the first 12 years I was here.
The last 2 games, actually.
Yeah, the last 2 games. That's what she was saying. They wouldn't have won the last 2 games in the first 12 years I was here. And she called this team special. And she doesn't have to say things like that, because how often has Candace Parker, when somebody inevitably asks a question about how the Sparks came back, how often, or flipped the switch, how often does she say, well, why did we have to flip the switch? She's giving real answers. She's not volunteering praise.
Every game, she always says, "Yo, why do we have to?" And I 1000% agree with her. Why is it that?
No, she's right. You're asking for them to play a perfect game of 40 minutes. I don't think a perfect game of 40 minutes is realistic, but I do think that they can play 30 to 35.
I'm not saying you play a full perfect, but I don't think you need to take a whole, have a lapse for a whole quarter, which sometimes I see them do.
No, there should be in any quarter. Some quarters, there should be a perfect 10 minutes. In any quarter other than that, there should be no more than 2.5 to 3 minutes of a lapse. And if that happens, then that will get them to above 30 minutes of stifling defense, and they are going to be hard to beat. They essentially have two main coaches in the bubble right now. They have Derek Fisher. Obviously, he's the head coach. He's a leader. And then he has tasked the assistant coach, Latricia Trammell, with defense. Like, she literally will run film on defense.
And you can tell.
Derek Fisher is like, might not even be in the picture when she's teaching defense right there. And I'm serious. Like, he's there, but I'm saying he's not interjecting when she's saying we should be doing this, we should be doing that. He is entrusting her to lead that defense. And obviously Derek Fisher built his NBA career on defense as well. He built it on shooting, but he also built it on he built it on defense too. There's no way that Derek Fisher is going to play. What did he play? 18 years in the NBA.
It was a while. It was a while.
There's no way he's going to. There's no way he's going to play those years. There's no way he makes it back to the Lakers if he isn't playing defense.
Yeah.
Once he left, he could have been gone. There's no way he comes back if he's not a defensive-minded person.
Yeah.
But Candace Parker, I have to talk about her. So Candace Parker, Player of the Week in the Western Conference. She finally got it. I thought that she was the second best player that 1 week when Asia got it, but then they had to give it to Vandersloot. Shout out to Vandersloot. She got it again. Vandersloot is clearly by far the best player in the Eastern Conference this year, without a question, because pretty much all of the playoff teams are from the West. If you go down the standings, there's so the Chicago Sky are technically from the East. And the Sun and the Fever. So 5 of the 8 teams are from the West. And honestly, the Wings could jump the Fever at any time. So Vandersloot, of the top 5 teams, Vandersloot is the only team in the East. And so she's going to keep getting that. She's going to keep getting that every single week until DeWanna Bonner or Alyssa Thomas does something spectacular. So shout out to Vandersloot, but Candace Parker, she finally got her first Defensive Player of the Week. And, from the beginning of the Spark Report this season, I said that Candace Parker was a sleeper for MVP, that she could be an MVP candidate if things worked out right for her. And they have, because she's been so consistent. She's been so locked in. She has her villa, or not villa, her lodge, her apartment is essentially a training room. She has every single thing you can think of to recover in that room. She even bought her own mattress so she could sleep better. I mean, she's got the leg recovery.
How did you get a mattress?
She ordered it. She ordered it on Amazon or wherever you order a mattress.
How did you get a mattress down?
That's what I'm saying. She literally bought her own mattress to sleep better, because she's like, oh, my mattress at home is way better than this. I'm not feeling it. I'm just going to buy a mattress. Now, somebody who is willing to buy a mattress for 2.5 months, that's dedication. She's not taking that mattress home.
I mean, if I got to sleep somewhere for 2.5 months, I might want to buy a mattress too.
I feel you, but Candace Parker hit me up. I can show you how to sell that mattress on Facebook Marketplace and offer up and let go when you're ready to be done with it. I can tell you how to have a marketplace. Right. I can tell you how to flip that mattress so you get some of your little money back. If you sign it, you might get like some super fan that want to buy your mattress or something like that. But anyway, so Candace Parker, Player of the Week. She definitely deserved that. Candace Parker, for you and I, she is, would you say that she's your leading candidate for Defensive Player of the Year right now?
I would. I know the Sparks were at first, if I'm not mistaken, second in defensive rating. They might be first now, honestly, with the week that Seattle had, and she's been the best defensive player on the best or the second best defensive team all year. And I just think she anchors his defense a lot. If I had to give out rankings, I'll probably say maybe Candace 1, then Breanna Stewart and Alyssa Thomas can battle it out for 2 and 3. But I definitely think Candace is number 1 right now.
And if you invert that with Breanna Stewart still being number 1 for MVP, voters are not going to feel the need to give her both awards.
I mean, they could, but I just think that
they're not going to feel the need to give her both awards. If anybody needs to win both awards, it's actually Candace Parker.
they could, but the thing about Brianna that hurting her is even though she hasn't been having the best season at all, but she does have the former defensive player of the year, with a reigning defensive player of the year playing right next to her. So when you just look at that, people who may not follow it as closely, it's just like, oh well, how can she be with the? Oh no, I'm giving it to Candace because Candace doesn't have the luxury of playing with a defensive. I don't think they have a defensive player of the year on the team right now.
No, because as much as we've talked about Nneka has never technically won
an award. So that she doesn't have the luxury of playing with somebody who was named the best defensive player.
She used to, Lena Beard.
She used to, but used to ain't now. So she hasn't had the luxury of this year of playing with somebody who's been named the best defensive player in America for women's basketball.
Now I will say if Brittany Sykes was starting from day one, she might be able to make a case for it herself too.
She can make a case, but I think it's harder for guards because it's a stat award.
But for a couple years, back to back was Lena Beard.
Yeah, but how many steals was she averaging when she was doing that?
I'm not sure, but I'm saying you can create a narrative around a guard. If Lena Beard can win it back to back, then if you talk it up and you talk about it the right way, you can create that narrative. But so DPOY, I've changed it. It now stands for Defensive Parker of the Year because she is killing it. MVP stands for Most Valuable Parker. Like, I'm giving her all of these right now. If you were on the Sparks, there's no way you're not saying that she's not the MVP and she's not the DPOY of the Sparks.
I mean, of course, because you're seeing the work that she's putting in.
Right. And
nightly.
Yeah, and we've talked about how the MVP will most likely come from a top 3 team, possibly even top 2. Where are the Sparks right now? Right now, because I don't see how Vandersloot is going to get MVP. Vandersloot has great stats, and she can make a great case for a Steve Nash style MVP if they were the first or second best team. But it's going to take a lot for the Sky to make it to that. If the Sky went out, sure, give it to Courtney Vandersloot.
I mean, the way that they could is somebody could argue, Diamond, who was coming, you like missing one of your all-stars. Yes. They basically had a round. It's like, let's say, everybody finishes and like, let's say it stays the way it is. It is right now. Yeah. And the Sky like 1 win away from like, the Sparks and 2 wins away from the Storm. You can make a case, but I think
she deserves.
You can make a case. She'll get some votes.
But that's why she can make all WNBA first team.
She'll get some votes though. Some people
just name her the best point guard in the league, which she's playing like, and just put her on all WNBA. You don't have to win MVP.
She will get some votes though. If they do that, she will get some MVP votes. Now, will she win it? I don't know. That depends on what the writers feel about her. But she will get some votes if they keep playing basketball the way they're playing. She also has a story behind her that you could, give some votes to.
MVP is a 4-person conversation right now. Breanna Stewart, A'ja Wilson, Candace Parker, and Courtney Vandersloot. I don't see any way anybody else slips into that conversation. Yeah. I don't care if Arike scores 30 points every game for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they're not winning enough.
That can help her get on the all WNBA team. But no. And that's the same reason why DeWanna Bonner was never, I don't care what she did at the beginning of the season, she was never above Candace Parker on my MVP list. Because look at it now.
They weren't winning enough.
Right, look at it now. I thought DeWanna Bonner would keep scoring. You told me that she would drop down. You were right. I'll give you total props on that. And so she's out. DeWanna Bonner, there's a possibility that DeWanna Bonner might not even make first team.
She's a guard, right? No, forward, right?
She's a forward.
Yeah, she probably might not. Yeah, might not.
Now,
she might make second team. She might make second team.
And Candace Parker has been listed as a forward center this year. So Candace Parker is the perfect candidate to have Parker, A'ja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, Courtney Vandersloot, and then pick a guard.
Yeah.
I guess you could go Arike if you want to reward
this year, Arike.
If you want to reward her for her scoring, you could go her on all WNBA. But then Candace Parker, she's made a couple second teams on defense before in her career. She's never made a first team on defense. I don't see a way. Candace Parker could play like 2 or 3 more games this season, and she should still make first team all defense.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. Like I think she's been the best defensive player on the team all year. I think that she's been the anchor for the defense. Like I'll go back to what Simone said. Simone said that she knew coming into the season that people were going to disrespect her and put her in the screening roles, and she knew if this team was going to be successful again. I think that the Sparks have to make. One thing I've realized is from just really watching basketball this year is that like you can get you can get away with a lot of things offensively if you can just get stops. You don't have to have the greatest offense. If you can get stops and stop somebody else, you can get away with a lot of things. You can actually win most games that way by just as simple as just getting stops, and you can also create offense through your defense. So I think that Candace recognizes that, if we want to be the team that we say we want to be, we have to defend somebody. If they're going to put me in the pick and roll, well, that means I really got to step up and anchor this team defensively. And if you see Candace Parker working the way she's working defensively at, her status, at her age, how many years she's played in the league, then there's also no excuse for, Brittany Sykes. There's no excuse for Taya Cooper. There's no excuse for Sydney Weiss. There's no excuse for anybody else to at least work. Now, you're not gonna be perfect every time. You're not gonna be always in position. But but when I cut the film on, I gotta see you out there hustling, because I see my two-time MVP, my leader, my star, my Hall of Famer out there hustling baseline to baseline.
Right. You see my second oldest player on the team.
Out there hustling baseline to baseline. So if I see you not moving, it's an issue.
Here's a question though. So as great as Candace Parker has been this year, up until this last game, when she was able to kind of help take over and come back, or the last two games, it seems like Chelsea Gray has had to take a back seat. Is there a way for Chelsea Gray to get back to being an all WNBA level player and Candace Parker to still be at this MVP level / defensive player of the year level? Is there a way for both of those players to coexist? And then I'll even throw in the caveat of, is there a way for all three of them to be all WNBA level players, first and second team, between Chelsea, Nneka, and Candace this season?
This season, I don't know about this season, but also I think the thing that's really been holding Chelsea back, as I look, last year she was at 38% from three. This year she's at 20%. And I think that her shooting is the thing that's really been holding her back, and she just hasn't been shooting the ball well. So it's like offensively, if she's not getting to the paint, if you're not gonna put her, closer to, and also she's a point guard. So guards have to be able to get you at least like 30. If your guard shooting 20%, that's mucking up your offense anyway. Because now they really can go underneath every screen and don't really have to guard you. And now we had to put you in the like floor space of like a 4 or something like that. So I think the thing that's really been holding Chelsea back this season, just her jump shot. If she was shooting better, her whole entire year would look better. But she hasn't been shooting the ball well for whatever reason. She's shooting 20% from three and 40% from the field. Now she was at 41% last year, but she was at 38% from three.
Right.
Now she is shooting 100% from the free throw line, which is insane.
Yeah.
Wild, but also I don't think she's even going to the line that much because she ain't really shooting the ball that well.
No,
so there you go.
Yeah. Hopefully Chelsea Gray can continue this upward trend. I think she's found some success against the Dream and against the Wings because she was taking it inside. Like Chelsea Gray is at her best inside and mid-range. And then I think when she has that going, then she's got the ball going in, then those threes start working. Plus, I also think that Chelsea Gray, she might be a better deep three-point shooter than right on the line of three-point shooting. Like when Chelsea Gray is going to shoot a three, it doesn't matter where she is in relativity to the actual three-point line. She just needs to shoot. But it starts inside, like you said. It starts when she gets in the post and she's 5'11". She's essentially the biggest point guard in the whole league. Night after night, she's going to have matchups where she can take players in the post, especially because you may want to put a more agile defender, or you may want to try to do something different against Chelsea Gray because you may need somebody else to try to guard, I don't know, Sydney Weiss or Brittany Sykes or Candace Parker or whatever, or you may switch and then you end up with a matchup for Chelsea Gray. So Chelsea Gray, I think she has to just continue to take advantage of what she's given. I think that over the past 2 games, she has found a rhythm, but it's been inside. And so if I was her, I would keep working with that. If
I
I
mean,
have
they
an
also have
if
to
I
help her out a little bit though.
if I have an
as
open three,
well.
I would take it, but she has to kind of impose her will and get inside. Continue doing that.
They also have to help her out a little bit with that as well. You know, like, yes, she has to impose her will, but sometimes they don't always put her in the best position to be able to impose her will. You know, they have her work out there like a guard, which, I mean, she's a guard, but it's like, I've said it for years. I just think she should play in the post a little bit more. You know, now granted, you know, people get paid to coach. I'm not a coach. You know, what do I know? I'm sure there's reasons. I mean, they won what, 9 straight games, 8 straight games.
This right now 7.
So whatever they doing is
7
working.
straight games, 8 out of the last 9.
So whatever they doing is working. Yeah, she could be playing better, and you know, obviously, if they want to win a championship, she will probably have to play a little bit better. But whatever they doing right now is working.
Because the thing about it right now, as of last week when ESPN released their top 25 players in the WNBA bubble, Chelsea Gray wasn't even on that list. Right now, she's not even playing like a top 25 player in the league, which is ridiculous because there were points last year when she was playing like a top 5 player in the league.
Top 25 is a little bit. I think she could be in the top 25. Now,
right
she
now,
be in the top. She
should be, but is she playing like top 25? Is she playing like a top 25 player right now?
Top 25, I think she's probably top 25. I think she's probably top 25 player. Top 25.
Yes, top 25. Would you want me to pull up the list and name some of these lower? Is she playing better than Bria Hartley?
No.
Bria Hartley was like 19 on the list.
Okay.
Is she playing better than Kelsey Mitchell on the Fever?
No. Isn't Kelsey Mitchell like top 5 in scoring right now?
Yeah, but she was like in the low 20s.
No, so, well, then I guess she's not a top 25 player.
No, not right now. Is she playing better than Jewel Lloyd?
I mean, some nights Jewel Lloyd is man, that's a discussion. Now that is a discussion because some nights Jewel Lloyd, like, now her footwork looks incredible, but the shot don't always match the footwork. A lot of the times when I've seen her play.
Jewel Lloyd is a continual work in progress, but I believe she is a top 20 player in this league. She's already been an all-star. She's on a great team, and she gets a lot of looks. And
she has incredible foot. No. She has incredible footwork. Like,
and as much as you say, sometimes the shot hasn't been looking right, sometimes it's been looking perfect.
Sometimes it has been looking perfect. And also, Seattle has been winning. Like, they were up until this week. So I'm not mad at it. So I mean, hey, maybe she isn't playing like it. But I mean, even still, when I watched her play, I definitely thought there was a clear difference between her, you know, last year and her this year. Now, you know, obviously season started later. You know, maybe people weren't able to get in the same level of shape. Also, you know, like you said, Candace wasn't there last year. Well, I mean, she was, but like not to start the season. And by the time she really got in the groove, it was 13, kind of already Chelsea's.
Year 13, Candace Parker is significantly better than year 12, Candace Parker.
Yeah, and then
it's just that.
And then, like, by the time she got back, it was kind of like Chelsea's team. And also, Chelsea knew every night I'm going to be playing 35 minutes. The ball going to be in my hand most of the game. I can kind of do whatever I want with it, you know. So there was a lot of bit there. She may be adjusting a lot, you know, from last season to this season.
And I still think that some of this is personal. I think some of this is her reverence for Candace Parker. I still believe that Chelsea Gray defers to Candace Parker because she loves Candace Parker. Because that is her person. That is her girl. Like, that is her LA Spark. If Chelsea Gray had to pick one person on the LA Sparks, she's picking Candace Parker. If Chelsea Gray is going 2-on-2 against anybody in the WNBA, she's picking Candace Parker. So, like, that is her partner in crime. So she still defers to her. Like, I think Chelsea Gray, in her heart of hearts, probably still believes that Candace Parker is a better player than her. So I think she defers to her.
I mean, I think that Candace, at least this year, has shown that she is. But also, I think that's because of defense. Like, if Candace going to defend and be the best defensive player in the league, especially at her position,
right?
She's better than a lot of people in the league.
I agree.
In general. So,
I agree. But last year we saw times when Chelsea Gray was obviously the best player on the court. Most of the time, it was Nneka Ogwumike. Every once in a while, it was Candace Parker. So they still have that ability for that to happen right now inside the Wubble. I mean, they've only played 13 games. It's a 22-game season. A couple episodes ago, I talked about how, Candace Parker had done so well the first third of the season. Maybe another player would step up for the second third and another player step up for the last third. It doesn't appear that's going to happen. It appears it's going to be Candace Parker, but there's still room for Nneka to do more, because as great as Nneka is playing this year statistically, as efficiently, she's missing easy shots that I've never seen Nneka miss.
I mean, even I'm looking at, but actually that's an adjustment for everybody. Because I'm looking at her shot attempts. Like last year, she was at 12.7. This year, she's at 7.8.
What is she shooting in the field?
She's shooting 60% from the field, and then from three, she's shooting 50%, but she's taking less than a three a game.
Is it 60 or is it 50? What is it? What is it exactly?
I mean, this is basketball reference. Okay. So it might be a game or two behind, but it's 60.6%.
Okay. All right. Well, she's averaging
12.6 points, but her rebounding is down to like 4.8 rebounds. Yeah, her stats are for the most part down across the board.
But that's the thing. If I had to pick the second best of the big three, I'm still picking Nneka this year.
I agree.
Compared to Chelsea Gray.
I agree.
Even with Nneka sometimes seeming tired, and I know she missed a game and a half because of the hamstring and everything like that. And I know she's still dealing with things as a president.
Yeah.
For example,
like it doesn't stop just because you're down and playing.
And for example, every week they participate in a social justice call, and they talk to the family members of these women who they're saying their name. They talk to the family members of Sandra Bland in Houston, Texas. That's draining. They talk to the family members of Michelle Cusseau in Phoenix. That's exhausting. They already talked to the family members of Breonna Taylor. That's exhausting. That could take you out for a whole day or two. Just hearing that as a person.
Yeah.
And then you got to go play basketball.
Away from your family in a bubble.
That makes basketball seem insignificant.
Yeah, it's not the most ideal situation. I think that, we all need to realize that these players are human beings, and basketball is their job. Love to do it, but there's also real life going on outside. I mean, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. People may not, it may not be the story anymore, but we still are in the middle of it. There's a lot of stuff going on. And it's just like a lot to focus on.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to focus on. But I want to talk about your girl. You have called her the most improved player, Sydney Weiss. Yeah, you're right. Nneka. If you don't know, I challenged Nneka at the beginning of the season to shoot 60% from the field. She accepted my challenge, and she's doing it right now. Like Pappy said, 60.6. And I said that, if she shoots like that, that makes the Sparks a championship team. And even the fact that she's shooting 60% and still missing some shots that she normally would make, like, she can only get better, honestly. So, but Sydney Weiss, right now, Sydney Weiss is aiming to join that famous 50, 40, 90 club where you shoot 50% from the field, 50% from the field, 40% from three-pointer, and 90% from the free throw line, except she's shooting 50, 50, 90.
Yeah, but
That's
the reason
ridiculous.
but the reason why they're not going to include her in the clubs, because usually they do it like once, like you've averaged a certain amount of points. So it's like usually it's like over whatever, then they consider it with the rest. But her level of efficiency for what she's giving you is incredible. I mean, the floor spacing that she provides, like when you look at the numbers, usually somebody shoots 50% from three. Well, I can't lead this lady. It's like physically, somebody has to stand next to her all game. So the floor spacing that she provides, it's like the floor spacing that she provides every single night. When you just look at her statistics, if anybody, you scout a team and you look at that, that means I have to assign somebody to stand next to her all night. So what that's going to do for the rest of the team is just open up space on the court. And that's also why I think that's why I said I thought that she needs to start. I didn't think she would shoot like this. I can't say that I thought this would happen. I thought that she would do, other things that people didn't do. But even her being out there and shooting 50% is her doing things that other people ain't doing.
You know what's crazy? And you rarely see this in sports. She's technically shooting better from 3-point percentage than from the field.
Yeah, from the field.
She's shooting 52.5 from 3 and 52.2 from the field. And why is that?
Because she misses a lot of transition layups. She'll get out on a break sometimes and miss them. And she'll miss a lot of layups. That's she's probably actually more comfortable shooting threes.
Yeah, she's been taking some tough layups too. And maybe that's something that they have been talking to her about is like, you know, obviously Sydney Weeks knows how to make a layup. Like nobody is saying she can't make a layup, but those really tough ones, maybe that's an opportunity to think about something different. Or if you're going to take that, you make sure you get the contact and you get fouled. If she gets contact and gets fouled on those tough layups, if she misses them, they don't even count against her field goal percentage.
The reason why I'm making this face because I'm looking at
I was wondering.
Defensive.
Go ahead, because we have to talk about that because as great as Sydney Weeks is playing in her own 50-50-90 club, what is happening?
She has the worst defensive rating on the team.
And that's why
it's at 101.
And that's why the last 2 games, TRP came in for her to close out and come back in that dream game. And Taya Cooper came out to come back and close out the Wings game.
Rashonda Gray has the best, but I'm not counting that because she's only literally played 48 minutes.
Shout out to Gray because I still think that there's going to be an opportunity for her to have a game or two where it's like, oh, yeah, she can ball. So we'll move on from that, though.
Candace is at a 91 defensive rating. But, yeah, like her defense.
The lower the better, right?
Yeah. Lower the better.
Who has the best on the team?
The best is Rashonda Gray, but we're at
what is
90.
Rashonda's?
90. Okay. And then Candace is 91. Christina Nigwe is 91. Raquana is 97. Then basically everybody else is kind of at 98. And then the last 3 are Taya, Simone, and Sydney being the worst.
Now, I wouldn't have, if you would have told me Christina Nigwe's was that low, I wouldn't have guessed that. Because when I
She's a presence.
But yes, that's true. But when I see Christine Anigwe in the game, I am enamored with the way she plays on offense. Because when she gets the ball, she is probably going to shoot it. And so I kind of focus on that, is that she kind of shoots a little too much sometimes. It's not in rhythm. Like she gets the ball, she's going to do some move, some work, and like she's going to get it up there. Because to me, it kind of feels like she's like, oh, I'm going to take my shots because I don't know how much I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And that's not the best version of herself. Now, could she get more playing time? Yes, she could, because the last couple games, the Sparks have kind of been in lulls. So they start with Candace Parker and Nneka, and then they've been taking Nneka off the court and leaving Candace on there, and then they take Candace off and they've been putting Anigwe in, and then they've been coming back with Nneka and then Candace, and then Christina Nigwe is basically done for the game because then they just go one or the other. But if Christina Nigwe could get to about 10 to 12 minutes, I think that would help her out and help her be a little bit more comfortable. Nneka Ogwumike always talks about how, you know, as much of a sponge as Christina Nigwe is and how much they want her to play instinctually, and they just want her to just play like that because that is the best version of herself. I think she does that amazingly on defense, but I also wanted to do that on offense too. And so, but playing instinctually doesn't mean you're playing one-on-one. It doesn't mean you get the ball and like you're just going to try to figure out how to score. Because I don't think you're at that level yet in the WNBA where you get the ball and like the team needs you to score. Because when she's on the court with at least Taya Cooper, maybe Raquana Williams when she comes back, Simone Augusta. She's on the court with other people who may be more efficient scores.
To be fair to her, this is just her average. She averages 2 rebounds a game. She averages 1.3 defensive rebounds, but 0.7 offensive rebounds. So a case could be made that a lot of her rebounds come on the offensive end. And maybe, you know, she gets the offensive rebound, just I gotta take it back up. I think maybe it might take time to learn, like, okay, you know what, you can kick it out, you know, you can reset. She's still a young player, she still has, you know, growth. But I do like the fact that she's aggressive. You know, you put her in the game.
That's true.
You know, like and then I also like most of her shots are coming near the rim. So it's not like you have a chance for like long rebounds and runouts and things like that.
She's physical as well. Not only is she an aggressive player, she's a physical player, and she will use her body against you.
Exactly. Yeah, like she's physical, you know, so I can live with that.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't really have anything else to say about that.
Sydney,
but Sydney,
we love you, but she has to improve better defensively.
Yeah. She has to do something about the defense because, yes, they will continue to most likely start her because you love the way she's spacing. You love the three-point shot. You want that in the lineup, especially when you're pairing her with Brittany Sykes, who now she's getting the threes down. But Brittany Sykes is traditionally, she's a lower 30% three-point shooter. So you still want Sydney Weiss in the lineup. But, you know, if you're up by a lot, great. But when it's time to come back and lock down, it's not Sydney Weiss yet. It can be, but it's not her yet. Like maybe there needs to be more communication there because if you're isolating against Sydney Weiss, and most of the time it's not like these players are just shooting like threes over her. They're not just like pulling up like Dame Lillard over Sydney Weiss. Like they're getting to the rim against her. So that's still team defense.
Yeah, because she's usually I feel like she's playing usually at like a guard kind of like spot, maybe sort of.
She's guarding guards. Yeah, she's guards because they're putting Chelsea on like
on the wings because Chelsea, I mean, she's not the greatest defender either. But it's like I feel like Brittany has the foot speed.
But I think Chelsea Gray is more of a presence because of her size.
Yes, and she knows how to take charges, which is the thing about like you with her, you got to make sure that she don't stop and take a charge. So I'll give you that for sure. But I feel like Brittany has the foot speed to really be able to contend with guards. I don't know if Sydney has the lateral speed to be able to contend with some of the more quicker guards. And a lot of WNBA teams really just play like 2 point, like they just play two guards, really 2 point guards, and then like two wings and then a center. So I feel like maybe she might be guarding out of position a little bit, but either way, she has to somehow be better defensively. She has to be better.
I'll be honest with you. When I saw the beginning defensive assignment, when they had Brittany Sykes on Enrique and they had Sydney Weiss on Mabry, I thought they gave her the easiest assignment on the court. And that's no disrespect to Marina Mabry, but the fact that Marina Mabry was on their team last year, they played against her in practice. They felt like they knew her.
This ain't the same lady. But when I even cut on Dallas Williams game, like this not the same Marina that I saw last year. It's not the same. She look like she in better shape. She like she has more confidence. I think she feels more empowered. You know, I think last year it was like if I make a mistake, I'm gonna probably be on the bench. Now if I shoot a shot and I miss it, they probably not gonna take me. I'm probably still gonna play the next 5 minutes after that. So I feel a little bit more free.
Yeah, but the Wings have a decision to start to make now long term because Marina Mabry makes Nneka Ogwumike the most comfortable. It makes Nneka the best version of herself because they've now played together for 5 years. Okay? But you can argue that Ty Harris, when she first started the season on the Wings, the way she was playing, she was looking like she was going to slide in there and be Rookie of the Year. So you could argue that Ty Harris is a better point guard. So I don't know how they do that because, I mean, you spent a high first-round pick on Ty Harris. She's been good when she's been on the court. She had to step off for a little bit because of injury, but she's back now. But then you see the chemistry between Mabry and Enrique, and they could play together for another 6 to 8 years and be fine.
Who is at their 3 spot right now? Is it
Alicia Gray?
Just Gray?
Alicia Gray.
Yeah,
and then Thornton was at the 4.
Oh, they had Thornton at the 4?
They had Thornton at the 4, and they actually started Astu Du at center, but they've been preferring to start Izzy Harrison at center, and then they played Sabali a lot at center as well. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
I mean, they got a good problem to have.
You could just play a 3-guard lineup.
I was like, you go out there and put 3 guards out there and those.
But that's the thing. You do a 3-guard lineup, and then you're losing Alicia Gray, and Alicia Gray has arguably been their second best player, and her 3-point shot is looking good. They got some rotational things to work out.
It's a good problem.
You know Enrique is going to be there. You know Satu Sabali is going to be there. and you know those two are most likely going to start, you pretty much have to start Alicia Gray right now because she's playing so well. So unless you're going to trade her or get rid of her, which I don't think you should, you have to use her because she is definitely a top 50 player in the league right now. And if you're a top 50 player in the league, you're a starter. You know, but then Mabry's playing so well, but Ty Harris is so promising. I mean, can you put all them out on the court at the same time? I mean, I guess you could.
Depends on how much you care about defense.
I mean, if Simone Augustus can play the 4, I guess Alicia Gray can too. But it's kind of like, I don't know if that's the best.
It depends on how much you care about defense. If you don't really care about, if you like, yo, we want to go for offense, then you just play the 3 guards, put Alicia, and I think put Sadu at center, and we just go and outscore you and see what happens.
Well,
and if we need defense, we put in Thornton and she guards somebody.
Yeah, the little I know about Brian Agler is he cares about defense. Because we saw last year how they was just grinding games out on defense. So like he cares about defense. They might not make the right choice every time, but he cares about defense. That's an old school coach.
Well,
I mean, they're going to have to make some decisions at some point, and somebody is going to have to go to make the team better. Like you either got to decide that we're going to just ride this Marina Enrique train, or we're going to have to play 3 guards a lot and get rid of somebody else. Like, I don't know what they're going to do.
Makes sense.
But Marina has to play with Enrique. Marina playing with anybody else is pointless on that roster. Maybe another team, but on that roster, pointless.
But let's move on to some of our predictions. And get out of here because I got some things to do.
Okay. I will say, I do want to say this. Raquana Williams is expected. They're expecting her, if everything works out, they're expecting her to come back sooner than later. So Sparks fans, don't worry too much about that. I mean, when you have a left knee injury like that, a left knee sprain like that, you have to sit out for a game. It makes no sense to come back the next game in the middle of a season like this.
You lost your mind.
Right. It makes no sense. I mean, if this was the playoffs and it was game 5, if it was game 5, I mean, she walked off. I think she could have played the next game if it was necessary. And Raquana's a tough player, but she didn't need to play. But okay, so predictions, the next 3 games, there's Lynx and then Sun, and then who was the last game?
Dream.
The Dream. Well, I guess if I work my way backwards, Kennedy Carter will be back for the Dream, but the Sparks are not losing to the Dream. Because again, all the synergy that the Dream are creating right now as they play the Sparks hard, and then they just won their last game, they got to start all over again when Kennedy Carter comes back. So they're not losing to the Dream. The Sun, I think the Sun are the toughest opponent for them because the Sun, they have 3 elite players. They have 3 all-star level players, and those players will play basically the whole game, and they will keep coming. And Jasmine Thomas is finally starting to kind of drive and get a little bit more ISO and a little bit more offense to her game. I think that's the toughest game. I personally think they're going to beat the Lynx, especially if Sylvia Fowles doesn't play again. Now, will they beat them by the same amount they beat them by last time? No. But I don't think you're going to lose to the Lynx without Fowles because I just don't think they have enough. So if you put all that together, you know what? Until they lose, I'm not going to say they lose. I'm going to say they win all 3 of these games. Again, winning streak to 10. Why not? If you beat the Lynx, you can win the rest of those games.
I think they beat the Lynx, lose to the Sun, and probably come back and beat the Dream.
Okay. I can definitely see that happen. I can see how they lose to the Sun, but they're just at a point where they're just winning games. They are just figuring out how to win games. And if a team lets up at all, the Sparks are winning games.
No, they are. But that would be my prediction. I'd say they beat the Lynx. I think Sylvia not being, I don't know. I guess she's not playing. I think that hurts a lot. Crystal Dangerfield was doing a number on the Sparks last time, but I would assume that they would
But now you can put
crack
Brittany
down on that a
Sykes
little
on
bit.
her. Now you can put
Yeah,
Brittany
like
Sykes and try that again.
yeah, like I
Brittany
would.
Sykes.
Yeah, like I
If
would.
Brittany Sykes can hold Enrique to 20, she can definitely make sure Crystal Dangerfield don't score 29 points.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would assume that would crack down on that a little bit. Then Connecticut, I'm gonna go with a loss for Connecticut, and then the Dream. I think that they can take care of the Dream. Actually, probably easier than what they took care of it last. Than what they took care of the Dream last time.
The Sparks have to lose. Well, I don't say they have to lose. The Sparks will most likely lose eventually. They have 9 more games left. But I will say this. The way I look at the standings, my interpretation is that since the Sparks still have to play everybody that is above them, and they all have the same amount of losses, the Sparks control their own destiny. If the Sparks won all their games, they would be 19-3, and no other team would be 19-3, and they would be in first place. So that's technically possible. Is it likely? I don't know what the probability of it is. It's probably pretty low, but it's possible.
Yeah.
So they control their own destiny. So as long as they take it game by game and they allow different people to step up, like the fact that TRP helps close out one game and then Taya Cooper helps close out the next is good, because we've seen Sydney Weeks help close out games early in the season too. So like they're creating different ways to win. And that's what you need. You can't win the same way every time.
I agree.
You can't win the same way every time. So I'm saying another 3-0 week for the Sparks.
I'm saying 2-1.
You're saying 2-1. I think that's pretty good. Candace Parker, if I had a DPOY vote, you would be getting my DPOY vote. I cannot commit an MVP vote to Candace Parker right now, but if it keeps going the way it's going, I can see that too. I agree. That too. But all right, so you can check me out on winsider.com. That's where you can find my LA Sparks articles. You can also check me out on Twitter at John W. Davis, YouTube at John W. Davis, and Instagram at John W. Davis as well. Pavi, where can we find you? And are we expecting volume 2 of I Just Feel Like Rapping this week?
No, that was volume 2 technically.
Okay, volume 3
out right now. Volume 3 is technically, I got songs I can put together for it. Like I don't have plans to put it out right now. But well, go check out I Just Feel Like Rapping 2. Paverbs.com, paverbs.com. Follow me on Twitter at PaviWorld, Instagram at PaviWorld. Follow Hoops and Brews. Make sure y'all like, subscribe, do all of that. And until next time, it's been a Spark Report.
All right, y'all. Peace.